Alright folks, it is David back again with another video. It's around 9:55 p.m. on the, did I just see the 16th? Yeah, the 16th of August 2025. As I begin to make this review, I'm at a truck stop here in Hope Hall, Alabama, near the Flying J, and I just watched Barbarians. Yes, I kid you not. From either 2022 or 23, in the lead up to maybe my watching, let's see what the name of it, Weapons, in the coming couple of weeks. It's been out for a week or two, doing well, and I thought, well, hey, let me go ahead and try and catch up on the movie that the movie makers made before this one. And I'll get into the details of that in a second, but I think I'm gonna shut off the video and go to audio only for this review, so that'll make it easier for me to upload later. But as you can see, I'm in the truck, and since this is a journal update video review, I'm gonna go ahead and add details like that and just give all my thoughts on this crazy movie I just saw. Hang with me. Okay, let's do it. I'm looking at the cast for Barbarian, and I'm sorry I got the title wrong, for crying out loud. It's not Barbarians, it's Barbarian. From 2022, horror mystery. Alright, let me look at this. I'm looking at IMDb so I get these names correct. Directed by Zach Krieger. Now, listen, there's a little posting here, the way Google puts stuff up, where somebody said, this is like a video from May 31st of this year, 3 years later, I finally understand Barbarian. What most people missed is in the thumbnail, and it's got a picture of Harvey Weinstein across from, let me get it right. Justin Long's character, AJ. I kid you not. And I'm thinking to myself, yeah, I can definitely see what you're going for there, as far as the whole casting couch, Me Too, racking up sexual assault victims and terrorizing people and bullying people. But I don't know that Weinstein used underground tunnels and stuff like that, but I can definitely see the analogy, the comparison there. Okay, first things first, let me start from the very beginning. Why in the world did I even watch this movie, since I'm not a big horror guy? Well, it's because there's something about the trailer for Weapons that's just kind of drawn me in a little bit, and I haven't seen it yet, but I thought, you know what, like I said in my little intro there, I might as well go back and watch this movie, since the same director, Zach Krieger, is that his name? I want to get it right. Yes, Zach Krieger did this a couple years back, and I thought, you know what, I've heard a reviewer give a review of this movie. I thought, let me give it a watch myself, see what it's like. And I'll just say, first things first, I'm going to make comments that might sound like, well, I'm bound to say things that are like, well, why in the world would you watch a horror movie, guy, since you're not a big horror fan? Like I just said, every now and then, especially here lately, there's something that might just draw me in with a trailer. Not every horror movie, not by a long shot, but for instance, I watched those 2 Smile movies, as you can see on this channel, and I had a ball with them. I just did, I admit it. This film, Barbarian, did not have me constantly on the edge of my seat in the same way that Smile 2 did, obviously, because that movie was just a ride from start to finish. But this film was somewhat similar at points. So we have this young lady, she's going for a job interview. Her name is Tess, played by Georgina Campbell. I have never seen her in anything. She reminds me, she's got kind of like a pretty face, you know, and she reminds me of a couple of actresses. I thought she was them. She's not. She's herself, and I've never seen her before. Again, that's Georgina Campbell. And I'll just say Tess from now on, and I'll say, I'm probably not going to remember AJ. I'll just say Justin Long's character, and Bill Skarsgård played Keith. Definitely going to mention him in a second. But yeah, this was a crazy little movie, and I probably made a mistake in watching it before I go to sleep, because one thing about it, horror movies, they do kind of mess with me if I watch any movie
right before I need to sleep at night, but it is what it is. This is the only time that my schedule would permit me to watch this movie. So I went ahead and watched it. Paid YouTube the $3.99 or whatever to rent it for a couple of days, and now I got it under my belt. Let me get into this movie now. Tess has a job interview. Doesn't have the job yet. She's going to be helping do research for a documentary. That's what she tells Keith, played by Skarsgård. And it's intriguing. And I guess maybe this can count as a horror mystery, the way it's described on Google, instead of just a horror, because I'm trying to figure out what's going on. What is the explanation for the origins of this monster that you encounter in the movie and all this stuff, and how this came to be. And it's a tale. It's a tale that has been told before, I guess, but just maybe not exactly in this interesting way. I want to, as I go, tell you what I really liked about the quality of the filmmaking and the visuals. I was blown away. Well, that's an overused term. I wasn't blown away. I was kind of shocked at the abrupt transition from one part of the film to the other, and I'll make a point to talk about that when I get there, but I'll let you know what I mean in a second. When we go from focusing on one character in one place to another, this was something else, and it was a neat, it was a very creepy movie, I'll give you that. It wasn't as jarring. Again, I keep wanting to compare things to Smile 2, especially because that movie just beat my brain up watching it in the movie theater. But this one was actually, I don't know if it's good or not as far as horror movies go, because I don't watch a lot of horror movies, but as far as a very interesting style that I'm not really used to, it was I'm not even going to say a treat, because it's horror. David, it's horror. Why did you watch this movie? What is wrong with you? Okay, so Tess is telling Skarsgård all about this stuff, how she going in for a new job the next day. He is already there in this house in a really run-down neighborhood, that the more she actually just stops and like pauses and looks at it, she realizes the whole place is kind of spooky. It's run down. I mean, like bombed out. It looks like not just a bad neighborhood, but like demilitarized, looking like the houses are half dilapidated. And Skarsgård's character, Keith, is already in the house, and she's supposed to be there. She knocks on the door. And I will tell you this. I watched this, obviously not in the theater. I'm in the truck here tonight. I turned the lights off, and I used my phone instead of the laptop hotspot, so that I could put it right up in my face, so I could get the closest thing to a movie theater experience as possible. I had my headset on, and the cinematography, as it opened up, there was something that happened that I thought was really cool. You have this spooky music, like it sounds like distant, I don't know if like it's women crying or distant scream, or just that kind of ambient sound effect that gets creepier and creepier the closer you get to the door of her car, like outside of her SUV or whatever vehicle was, because it's nighttime and she parks on the street. But right as the camera would crash slowly, like bump into the window, and it goes through the window, and then all of a sudden you're in the car with her as she's trying to look at stuff on her phone and make sure she's in the right place for the house she's renting for the night or two. All of a sudden the music stops. It's like inside. I thought that was so cool. Inside of her car, it's all cool. She doesn't know what's going on. She doesn't know what this house is about. This is just some place that Tess has come to rent because she needs a place to stay and to be in town for who knows how long, and so she's got to stay somewhere, right? But outside of the car in this neighborhood, I just thought it was such a neat little transition. But that's not the only transition from one scene to the next that I want to talk about. This movie, I don't know if I've ever seen, or it's been a long time. I don't know. I can't think of any other movie where it was so so abrupt. Maybe it's because I just saw it and it's my impressions are fresh off this movie or what. But well, let me keep going. I just thought it was so cool that all that, the spookiness and the reality of what this horrible neighborhood and this house in particular are about, and what's going on there and what lives there when nobody realizes it, and its history and everything, and the cries, that ambient woman crying, screaming in the distance, whatever. What, I can't explain what the music sounds like. You'd have to listen to it. If you've seen the movie, you know what I'm talking about. And then all of a sudden it just stops as you go into her vehicle. That was just so cool. She goes to the door. She starts cussing because she's like, she can't get in. She's calling saying, "Hey, I think somebody's already here." And it was. They've been booked. She and Keith they've been booked at the same time. She was supposed to rent the place, but no, he's already in there and all settled and everything. And I'm going to kind of skip over this part of the movie because really this was kind of a slow burn at the beginning, as it all just, it almost, something about this seems like it's 2.5 or 3 different movies. And again, it has to do with the transition that that happens in the movie, because here we are, I'm watching this, and I want to give them acting props big time to the actress who played Tess and Skarsgård to a degree. Although Skarsgård, as they're talking, and she's just glad to be out of the freezing cold rain for a second, but then she's like, where am I supposed to go? And he's like dumbfounded, like, I don't know. It's like you can see on his face that he doesn't want to. I don't know where you're going to go, lady. But I got to this place first. So he has the idea. Listen, you just stay here tonight. Take the couch or whatever, and we'll call these idiots, as he says, tomorrow, and we'll both get our money back. So he thinks he's like being all slick and everything. Like, hey, we stay here and get our money back, because they're not supposed to double book like that. That's crazy. Okay, so Georgiana Campbell and Bill Skarsgård, like for 20 minutes, this seems to go on and on, of what it's like for two people, especially from her vantage point, of what it's like to just kind of be in an awkward situation. And it was a great little, the more I think about it, it was a great little setup, just getting comfortable, because that's exactly what happened in the movie. She's kind of, she doesn't know this guy. She doesn't know this Keith. And at one point you even see her, and you're kind of suspicious as you're watching Tess, in this movie, because it's like, before she sees his wallet, since he has given her the bed, because he really tried to be a gentleman and all this, like, hey, I'm not gonna hear any argument. It goes against my raising to have a lady sleeping out here on the couch when I would take the bed. It was cool of him. It was a neat character that he had, to a degree, and I'm saying that because so much of what I'm looking at from Skarsgård on here, even though he pulled it off, you know what? I'm realizing this in real time here. The more I think about it, that was brilliant. What I really wanted to say here, as I started to say that, was from the beginning all the way up to, oh, by the way, spoiler alert, I'm going to put big time spoiler alert in case you haven't seen the film and you don't want details ruined, but all the way up to when he dies, basically, in the tunnel, getting his head smashed by the witch, mutant inbred creature. Shouldn't say witch. This had nothing to do with witchcraft. She was just an a thing of inbreeding, a copy of a copy of a copy, as the homeless man said. Right? You get a freak like that, or however he said it. Anyways, I know I'm rambling all over the place because that's what I do in these reviews, but Skarsgård's character, what I was about to say, but I caught myself a minute ago, was this. He came off in his whole performance as, it's like, does he believe what he's saying? It's like he's trying to be a gentleman. He's trying to be real. He's trying to be, and he is, as far as his dialogue and the things the way he's interacting with Tess. When he, for instance, when he says to her, I made some tea, but I saw you didn't want any, and here's some wine. I want to have some, but I was going to offer you some too, and I thought, well, maybe you wouldn't want any if you didn't see me open it. Like maybe if you came out here and I was already drinking it or something, you might not trust it, and so you might not want any. Oh, look at me rambling. I'm rambling the way he said he's rambling in the movie. And stuff like that slowly, Tess became more and more comfortable realizing this is just a guy who happens to be here. He's not some creep. He's not a vagrant. He's not somebody who's likely, at least, to hurt me or violate me or whatever a man in a house might pull if he's not really supposed to be there. But his story checks out. He showed her his online registration of renting the place and everything, and so she's like, listen, I really like to see that. And he's like, why? Well, at first he said, why? Because you think I'm some you think I'm just some weirdo who's squatting here or something like that. And then he caught himself. He's like, you know what? You're right. Let me show you. It would be for the best. I think he said that. Anyways, there were just so many things. And it seems like this went on forever at the beginning. I'm like, can we pick up the pace? Nothing spooky, nothing scary is happening in this horror movie. And it was a neat little burn at the beginning. And let me get back to what I realized about Skarsgård a second ago. I wanted to say that he was delivering his lines poorly. I actually wanted to say that, but no, I'm kicking myself here in a way, because it's like, no, that kept me going. The more I think about it, his line delivery and the way he's not really sure of himself, the character Keith, and what's going on. He's just trying to be polite to this lady. He didn't want to send her out when she booked, and he also booked the house, and so he's just trying to be polite. And the more they talk, the more friendly they get. They realize, oh, they have similar interests. He actually saw the documentary that she helped make about jazz, and she's like, no, there's no way you saw that. He's like, oh no, I did. And then he even mentions a couple of specific scenes, and she starts smiling and laughing, and so they drink the wine, and then they get so friendly and so chummy, talking about life and relationships. Oh, well, men can do this. Well, women get away with that, and men. I'm realizing something else about this. You know what? I guess this movie really did do some commentary on the Weinstein stuff, didn't it? I'm just realizing that now as I'm talking about it after the fact. When he says, when they talk about, well, what if our roles had been reversed? What if you were already here, and then I showed up saying, hey, look, I've also booked. Would you have let me in? He's like, no, you wouldn't have let me in, because that would have been crazy, right? And the differences between how men and women interact and are treated in society. The more I realize it now, that was a neat little thing. That was a neat little thing this movie did. And as he is making up her sheets, because she's like, I've got to have clean sheets if I'm going to sleep in a bed in this strange house I've never been to. When he had those sheets on his head and was twisting and turning every way, I thought to myself, and he's saying, oh, you got to do it like this, and then do the spinaroo. This is how you make a throw, or whatever you call the particular method of bed making that he was helping her get done before they were going to go to sleep. He was going to take the couch. She was going to take the bedroom. When he had those sheets and stuff all over him, I thought, something scary is about to happen. Something horror movie-esque is about to happen. When he takes those sheets off, he's going to be a monster or something. I just know it. No. It was just two people getting to know each other, being friendly, and for like a 20-second or so span, and the movie kind of drags it out a minute, you're thinking, as they're smiling at each other, and it gets all awkward. Yeah, it's they've gotten so friendly with each other that it's like, yeah, it's the bed is made, and it's Keith is like, he must be thinking, it's time for me to leave this bedroom so that she can sleep alone in the bed while I take the couch. And yeah, so it was a neat thing in this movie that all happened. And then the horror movie gets kicked off. I kid you not. She goes to her thing and overslept after, oh wait, I forgot what happened. The door opened, and it never was explained why he was it explained in the movie? Please put it in the comments if the movie explained in any way why Keith was almost whimpering in his bad dream as he was tossing and turning on the couch when Tess woke up. And that screeching door sounded like a person. It sounded like the inbred monster creature would maybe sound. And yeah, this movie is definitely going to mess with me tonight when I go to sleep. Anyways, when the door opened and that creaking sound, that was the first like scary bit in the movie. And then she looks through the door, and she sees he's in a bad way. Keith is tossing and turning. And then it's this tense moment as she goes out of the room and then over to him. And when she puts his hand on him and he screams awake, oh, like you scared the shit out of me. And he's like, why did you do that? She's like, I'm sorry, you were having a nightmare. You're tossing and turning. Look, did you open the door? No, I didn't open your door. And she's like, well, look, I'm gonna. She sees like he's getting flustered with her, upset from his bad dream he's having, but at the same time she's like, who opened my door? Because it was locked. But when she sees he's like all flustered, or like almost mad at her, because he's got like a heart-pounding nightmare. He's like, he was whimpering like a puppy, tossing and turning on the couch. It was weird, and it was never explained. Listen, dude, are you like do you often have dreams where you're tossing and turning? Like you're being chased, like you're a dog chasing something into the woods in your sleep? I don't think the movie ever said anything like that. Anyways, it is what it is. Then she oversleeps, almost misses her interview, her job interview, but it all goes well. She gets with the woman. She's happy to meet her, the lady who she might be working the documentary. They leave on good terms, but not before the lady says to her, hey, where are you staying? And she says, oh, kind of sheepishly, because it's like this neighborhood is like, the name of it is, actually I forget what the name of the neighborhood is, but it's like so run down. She's almost embarrassed to say it. And then when she says where she's staying and where that house is, the woman's like, oh dear, you're joking, right? It's like, no. It's all right. It's all right. The woman's looking at her with this serious expression, like, no, you really shouldn't be there. It's not a good place. She doesn't say why. I love this horror movie stuff. She didn't say why or anything. Just, you really shouldn't be there, Tess. But she's like, no, well, there's the convention, and I couldn't. Yeah, Keith had said there's a convention, and that's probably why you're not able to find any other rooms available. We're going to have a hard time finding anywhere. Okay. So she goes back, and she sure enough manages to get herself locked down in the basement of the place. And this is where the movie really gets going. As she goes down to the basement looking for some toilet tissue, one thing leads for another, as she realizes down in the basement there's like a trap door that you can pull open with a rope behind a shelf. And so here we go with going down the hallway of hell or whatever. This underground passage, it looks like an underground railroad passage, And then, after a few feet, she uncovers the room where there's a camera, a bed, and a bucket. And I don't know what the bucket is about. Maybe somebody can clue me in on that, but yeah, the whole thing just looked like the room in an abandoned insane asylum. The whole thing did, and it was creepy as all get out. It was bad. It was bad. If I had walked down that passage and I saw that, I might just drop dead, like of a heart attack, like, Lord, take me out. I kid you not. That's how creepy that was. And she keeps on, man. She keeps on going down there. And, oh, no. Sorry, no. She doesn't go any further down the passage. She freaks out at that point, runs back up, realizes that she's locked down in the basement part of the place because the door is like a trap door. It locks from inside of the door from the hallway or the kitchen or whatever. But wouldn't you know it, Keith gets back right about that time. She sees him out of the little, I don't know what you call those things, a basement window. Yeah, I guess so. At the edge of a house, that kind of a thing. He says, okay, you push, you pull, I'll push so they can open this thing. She gives him the key. He gets in there. She's freaking out. He's trying to calm her down. Like, what's going on? What's going on? Well, listen, there's something down there. There's something down there. I'm out of here. And she's just trying to say, look, I was trapped downstairs. There's a tunnel and a room. It's like a dungeon with a camera and a bed. And this was another reason why I wanted to. I'm glad I realized that about Skarsgård's performance. He not only, as I'm thinking about it now, he not only delivered his lines well. This is kind of brilliant because it kept me going. It kept me going. It really did. I'm like, dude, she's obviously freaked out, and here you are, like, okay, yeah, you didn't see it, but she did, and she's obviously so freaked out. Why won't you believe her? It's like the cops later on when she's obviously been held captive 2 or 3 days or whatever, and she's all disheveled and kind of filthy from walking around like crawling around in the dungeon area, the underground tunnels, and the 2 cops just blow her off, and they think she's a crackhead, and they give her mean looks, and like, look, you're lucky we don't take you in and sleep this off. She's like, sleep what off? I was held hostage for 2-3 days. That whole thing of the movie was like, okay, it's a horror movie. You can either go one of 2 ways. The way they're going, where the cops just don't believe our protagonist, victim, lead, whatever, or else they do go in and they get killed themselves. That's the only 2 things, I guess, that ever would happen in a movie, as far as finally getting help from the authorities and getting somebody to help you with your whole monster problem. So Skarsgård, I got to get this out and finally finish this point. His line delivery, I can't stress this enough. I'm glad I realized this, because if I had just shot my mouth off, I hope people would correct me, like, dude, Skarsgård did a great job. I kept thinking to myself, what kind of acting is this? But that's exactly what they were going for, I believe. Just a complete, what's going on? You sound kind of hesitant, and yeah, the things you're saying are logical, but the way you're saying them, it doesn't, like, you're not a person. It's like, this isn't the way a person would really act or say these things, but it's perfect for a horror movie. And I guess he does do quite a bit of horror, doesn't he? He was just Nosferatu this year, or the end of 24, and yeah, his whole thing about, look, I got to go down there. I got to see this. She's like, why? No, listen, will you just stay here? Stay here, because it's like that kind of got me. It's like, okay, you don't believe it, but at the same time, it's like, oh, it got me again. It's like, it's very real. It's like, hey, don't leave me. I just want to check this. I want to make sure you're not a nut who's seeing things. So he goes down there and he gets her to stay, and then just like that, he's gone. I kid you not. He goes down there. She looks left, looks right, like grabs. She gets her phone because she had been without it for a minute, and that was part of the suspense of the scene. And his tone of voice as she says, "Okay, do you see it?" Because she's still up where the trap door, or the door that automatically locks. She doesn't want to get locked out. And so she's looking down, and the door that they go through the tunnel is like where you can't see from there. So she's looking down the stairs, and she's like, "Okay, do you see it?" And he's like, "Yeah, I see it." The way he said it, or it was more like, "Yeah, I see it." I can't do it. But it's like, when he said that, it's like, it was creepy in itself again. It's like, that is not the way a person would say that. But this horror movie junk, it just keeps you going, doesn't it? Then there's no response from him at all. And this actress did a great job with the anguish voice of like, "Keith, speak to me." Like, she needs to know you're all right, dude. She's like, this situation is just too freaky for you not to be communicating down there in that tunnel, since you needed to go check and make sure that what she said exists down there does exist. And so you're like, this, it's like, what would you do? There's a couple of things in this movie where it's like typical horror movie. You want to say it's just typical horror movie stuff, like nobody would do that. You got to do this so that you'll be in a bad situation and people will be like, "Oh no, something bad's going to happen." And the first thing was, like, when she took a picture of his license before going back out of the room and giving him his wallet, saying, "Oh, you forgot this in here." I was like, "Oh, thank you. Absent-minded of me," or something like that. Whatever he said. Again, polite, like, "Oh, don't want to lose this," because she didn't trust him yet. She didn't trust him yet, and she still didn't when she was at the place. And it was just, there's a couple little things that the movie, I'm afraid it was slightly inconsistent, but it was to trip your brain up. It was to keep you going and keep you asking questions, because at one point it's when she sees the note from him in the morning before she went to her interview, saying, "Hey, if you get back before me," he wrote this on the note, "please do such and such with the key. P.S. I had a great time last night." Like, she's smiling, like a really charmed smile, really nice. It's like this guy's really like grown on her, right? And now he's down there, and she's like, "Just come on, we'll go get the authorities. We'll call the cops." And there's no response from him. She rushes back to the door because she realizes that the door is shutting, and then she really will be out of luck, like no escape. So she props the door open with a chair. I kid you not. And I'm thinking to myself, there's somebody else in that house, y'all. And it's not just a creaky door where the frame of the door is a little bit off, and so it's going to shut, and the momentum of the door and the heaviness is going to cause it to shut, closed, whole, too, and because it automatically locks, you'll just be locked out. No. Somebody's just going to move it. Somebody's going to move that chair that she uses to prop the door open. But she did that so she wouldn't get locked in. She goes down there, and she's freaking out. And this was the best of the... There's a lot of walking through tunnels in the dark in this to really get your brain turned to mush. So that I have bad dreams tonight, obviously. But this one, when she's going down the stairs into the second shaft or whatever it was, because this thing just keeps going. After the one tunnel, there's another one. This is when she goes beyond the. Basically, it's a rape room, a recorded rape room. You realize as you go along in the movie that's what the guy was doing down there, and we'll get to him in a minute. Oh man, what a whew. That alone will give me some nightmares. And she goes down. This was the best of the walking in the dark stuff. The music was on point in this movie with the synthwave digitized, like the atmospheric ambient music was, I think, top notch in this movie. And as she's like whimpering and calling for Keith, the way she said Keith, and she goes down, this was the best of like the dark descent moments of the movie, her going down those steps, because they kind of prolong it a little bit as she goes all the way down there, and now she's seeing these cages with that a person could fit, like big dog kennels with food bowls in it and stuff. She's like, what in the world is this? And then was this the part of the movie where she peeks into the room? No, that doesn't come yet. I think it's Justin Long's character, AJ, who discovers the breastfeeding training room where the thing is on a loop constantly, the feeding room. Man, this movie was creepy as all get out. I think what happens is she suddenly just sees Keith got away from her. He said, someone bit me. There's someone else down here. There's someone else down here. Shh, shh. And I don't know why he was saying to go the other way. As she was saying, look, we've got to get out of here. We got to get out of here. And he's like, no, it's not the way. Listen, we got to go this way. What did he say? This was like the most intense of the scary bits of the movie. I mean, there were some jump scares, but this initial scene where you see the inbred mutant monster creature woman, it happened so quickly as she runs up from behind in the dark, Keith, and commences to slam his head up against the wall, the stone wall, until his head is just coming apart, his skull's coming apart. And I'm like, well, there goes Skarsgård. He just died. I'm thinking to myself, now, that didn't make sense. Why was he saying to go the other way? Because that was the way that the monster came from. I don't get that. Maybe somebody in the comments can tell me, assuming I'll understand. Why was he saying to go that way? I don't get it. But that death scene was something else. I'm like, okay, Keith's character's dead. There's no coming back from that. And this is horrible. And the monster screaming in Tessa's face. Absolute horror. And then it just goes to black. It just goes to black, yo. And this is the transition I was alluding to earlier in the movie. That black screen, and then all of a sudden we're following Justin Long's character AJ for like the next 10 minutes or whatever, and I'm thinking, what is this? What is this movie? What happened to Tess? Poor AJ. But what happened to Tess? What is going on here? I don't think I've ever seen a movie where we just suddenly start following a completely different character after such a... Okay, so now we're following AJ. And this is the more obvious of the Weinstein commentary stuff, as I'll call it from now on. He's singing along to this song in his convertible, driving down the beach in California somewhere, near LA, who knows where. And he's like this cocky, loves himself kind of guy. He's so happy his pilot TV show has been picked up. He's going to be a more successful showbiz guy than he already is. All of a sudden there's a phone call, and two people on the other line, this lady and it's like people who work with him and legal advisor or whatever, are telling him that he's being accused of rape by some young actors that he works with, and they're likely not going to have the show, and he's in legal trouble. There's going to be an investigation to decide just how bad it is, and he's just blown away with all this news of like, whoa, slow down, what are you talking about? Wait, what is she accusing me of? And the guy on the other end just kept calling him, telling him to calm down over and over again. It got to be annoying, but I was like, dude, I'm being accused of rape. And it's like, this movie kept me going so well. I mean, it played me like a harp. It really did, the more I think about it, because it's like, when you watch this movie, if you understand how many men over the past few years, not even just before Weinstein, but especially since, have been falsely accused of sexual misconduct, I'll just say it like that, if not much worse. There's been quite a few, and so I thought, okay, this is neat. Are they doing a commentary this way or that? Because at least in this movie, you're thinking, okay, is this guy getting falsely accused? Because you don't know, you didn't meet these people or anything, but obviously they're going with the, yeah, he's a creeper, big time creeper, and a really bad person way of telling the story. Because Justin Long's character in this is just, he was a hoot. I'm going to remember this character he played in this movie for quite a while, and I didn't look at the cast before I watched Barbarian. I didn't know he was in it, and then all of a sudden I'm seeing Justin Long singing to his radio as he drives down sunny California road looking at the beach, until all of a sudden he's got to pull over when he realizes what's going on. He's like, when they say that's what this actress is accusing him of, that he basically assaulted her sexually on the set of, or in some capacity as a co-worker, fellow actor, whatever, on the show that they're making, and he's just staring off into space looking at the beach. And then it continues on with his character. It's a neat thing to watch, the way a guy who is caught up in that is suddenly looked upon as a pariah or whatever by everybody. He's like, he realizes it's in the news already. Chip off the old block. So-and-so accused of rape or sexual misconduct, sexual assault, loses pilot, TV show or whatever. He's ducking down so people can't see him. He's got his ball cap on, and so he tucks it over him quicker so nobody can really see him. His financial advisor is saying, listen, I'm going to ask that you seek other financial management. He's like, oh, so you're abandoning me too, right? It's a neat thing in a movie to see how that plays out, how he's got no money coming in, he's going to have to go sell some houses or something that he rents, and sure enough, one of the houses that he rents is the Airbnb. And oh my goodness, I gotta pause here and come right back. Okay, sorry I had to pause for a second. Okay, so the next like 10 minutes of the movie are all about AJ and his plight, and you're thinking to yourself, okay, what is this guy's deal? Most people aren't like me, thinking there's a possibility this guy's being falsely accused. But as you go through the movie, you realize, nah, it's not like that. He actually is a man who has some self-control issues, and he is willing to hurt other people in order to get his way. He doesn't think of himself as overly vicious or anything, but the point is, it's like he doesn't care. At the end of the day, he's somebody who doesn't care, and that's the impression you're left with after a little while, but most especially at the end of the movie, when you realize his character has come through and he has been found wanting. But we'll get to that part. Oh, we will get to that part. At the end of the film, especially, I was smiling. I kid you not. Almost like I was like laughing, but constantly smiling as I'm watching AJ
Justin Long in this house. What in the world's going on here? He's going through the guy's stuff because he's going through Keith's stuff, not realizing that he's going through a dead man's suitcase and drawers and stuff, and tossing his book aside. He finds Tessa's laptop. It's like, aha! I'll see what this person's all about. He starts to try and get into her laptop to see who this person is. Oh, it's password protected there, AJ. Can't get in. He slams it shut, and the way he tosses it haphazardly behind him and to the right, and yet it lands so well on that table in the corner, I thought to myself, that's a pretty neat thing. Did they do that in one take? Or did it take him a dozen times for that to land so neatly, if violently, up against the wall on top of that table? I thought that was pretty good. Pretty good filming there. He realizes somebody's there. There's the toothbrush, and there's stuff that's not his, and stuff that's not kept up. And this, it's a really neat way, I give him that, to really show you somebody and what they're about. As he's talking to people, he's asking questions that are logical and everything, and yet his attitude stinks. The way he talks to the realtor lady, for instance, she ends up saying, okay, thank you, sir, goodbye now. And he's still talking to her like, wait, is this really the way to run a proper system? And you're thinking to yourself, you'd probably be thinking the same thing. It's just the way he's going about it. It's like you can tell this guy's a jerk. And it was just, I gotta give this movie credit, because the more I think about it, it's like you learn so much about him and how he does business and the kind of person he is. For instance, when he goes out drinking with his buddy, and the guy's like, listen, man, I gotta know what happened. It's like, oh, wait, are you gonna doubt me too? It's like, no, man, I'm your friend. It's just, I see stuff in the news, I see stuff online, I see what everybody else is saying. I need it from your lips, man. What happened between you and that girl? And he's like, listen, man, we had sex. That's what we did. And she took a little, what did he say it? How did he say it? A little encouraging, a little persuading, a little coaxing. I can't remember exactly what he said. But you're thinking to yourself, the second he said that, you're thinking to yourself, okay, you had to coerce her a little bit. And so immediately you know, okay, this isn't some false accusation thing. We're learning exactly the kind of person AJ is. And it's such a neat way to go about it. In just a few minutes, he's drunk when he gets back. He calls her up against the legal advice of the people who are trying to, I guess, watch out for him. They're not really his friends. They just rely on him to make money in show business. But the woman who said, listen, you cannot, the man who said, and that was his lawyer, you cannot call her up, the accuser, under any circumstances. It's bad enough that you left the state. This looks really, really bad, AJ. He calls her up anyway, drunk, and he basically is apologizing to her if he did anything that maybe he shouldn't have done, and he's sorry. He's sorry, and he would like her to call him up so he could apologize to her again, directly to her. And so you're thinking to yourself, again, at that scene, what kind of guy is this? Is he really remorseful? Or is it just because he's drunk and he knows he's in some hot water legally and in his life because of what he's done? But then he wakes up when the sun starts hitting him in that bed. The next scene you see is of him throwing up. Throwing up in the toilet. And then he sees the electric toothbrush again. He knows there's somebody here. Speeding things up a little bit, he goes down to the basement. He realizes that there's somebody in there. He heard something from the trap door spot. And again, I was laughing. I kid you not, I laughed when Justin Long is talking to himself out loud like, all right, listen, here's how it's going to be. I got a gun. Now, either you come up here and I'll just let you go, or I'm going to come down there blasting. I'm gonna do. When he's talking to himself, like, people want to mess with me. I'm an effing man. I will F you up. As he's talking to himself in the mirror and grabbing a knife, and I'm thinking to myself, yeah, dude, you're really convincing yourself there. I was thinking to myself, somebody's got to have a gun. Somebody in this California arrangement has got to have a gun. No, the only person who had a gun was Frank. And let me go ahead and talk about Frank now, since I just mentioned him. This guy was something else. Frank, played by Richard Brake. I have not seen him in any movie since... Well, really, the only two movies that I think of right away are Batman Batman Begins, my bad, and Doom 2004, I think it was. And it's like, I know I've seen him in something else, but I can't think of what. I didn't realize he was that tall. This guy, Frank, is a tall, slender guy. And that just, I don't know why I'm making such a note of that, but as I'm thinking about the way he walks out of that car, the way the cinematography is behind him, the camera, the way everything looks so good, it's obviously a flashback. Older vehicles, everybody's kind of dressed nice. A better, more prosperous time in America. I don't know what to say, except that that's what rings true for that neighborhood, because as he gets out of his car, his neighbor says, Hi, Frank, listen, just so you know, my house is going to have a sign in it tomorrow. He's like, sign? You know, for sale. Frank, for sale. We're going to go ahead and get out. My wife thinks we won't be able to get out if we wait until next year, because, you know, this neighborhood's just going down, man. Are you going to stay? Are you going to stay here, Frank? He says the words, I'm not going anywhere. And the way he says that, and then the scene immediately goes to inside of the house that you've been seeing this whole movie, and he's got all this stuff that he just bought from the grocery store, and I'm thinking, what kind of a psycho is this? Who talks like this? Not that he was cussing or shouting. It's like, it's just so creepy. He's buying all this stuff for a baby. Like, did he say for a baby that's not here yet? Because the lady in the store who's helping him find stuff and putting all kind of stuff in his shopping cart says, "Oh, a midwife, really? That kind of situation? Surely she told you such and such." And so he buys all this stuff for a baby, and with the gloves and the diapers and all this stuff. And so he's got all that, and he's going down into the basement area, and then it cuts back to present day hellscape, where the neighborhood's run down, and it's the only halfway decent house, sort of, that there is. It's like Frank from back in the olden days. He never left. He just stayed. And you come to find out from the homeless guy who was ranting and raving at Tess about how she shouldn't be in there, how she should not have come, how she shouldn't be out at night, and all this stuff, that Frank had over the years hollowed out the tunnels and stuff and just lived down there. He never left. He was just there. He never left. That's all. The only story that you get is like he just wouldn't leave. And so I'm not sure what part of this commentary, since this movie is apparently doing some commentary about the Me Too stuff, what commentary is it about Frank? Is it that if you don't I guess if you don't leave, you'll just degenerate into a rapist who gathers up women and has babies with them, and then the babies have babies of the babies, and you end up with a I guess it's a knock, obviously, on well, I shouldn't say it's a knock. You don't have to knock inbreeding. Inbreeding is a knock in and of itself, if that horrible thing ever happens. And I'm just thinking to myself, this is too much, man. This is just too much. This guy
And again, talking about Richard Brake for a second, I can't get over how tall this guy looked to me in this movie. I'm like, he's like 5 or 6 inches taller somehow than I thought he was. But then again, I guess, for instance, in Doom 2024, if you're standing next to The Rock and all these other big, tough, marine-looking dudes, I guess you wouldn't look that big yourself. But yeah, man, he just seems... I was like, is that who I think it is? I think that's that guy just looking at his face. Well, yeah, that is who I'm thinking of. It's Richard Brake, and he plays Frank. And Frank is evil as all get out in this movie. And so, yeah, after good old Keith, unfortunately, died down there, we get to meet Justin Long. And this is the part that I was laughing at. I didn't get this out a minute ago. What I was laughing at was when he breaks out that tape measure, and just how it's a great commentary. I got to give the movie credit. It's a great commentary on just how self-centered and freakishly selfish. I mean, just like a demon. Just how utterly out of it he was. He's walking down into these tunnels where we, the viewing audience, were scared to death that our characters here are being hurt. They're being like captured and tormented by some mysterious underground creature or something. And he's just moseying on down there, and all he's got on his mind is the money. Because you see him go down there, he finds the stinking rape room dungeon, and then all of a sudden you see him back at the kitchen again, like it wasn't really much of nothing. And he's Googling, he's basically asking, can you charge more money in your Airbnb by, like, what counts as basement space, and what are the legal parameters of how big can a basement be? Because when he discovers the passage, he's like, oh man, he's thinking of the money and what he can get for this place as he tries to sell it. Because obviously, the longer those tunnels are, the longer, the longer they go. It's like, I guess, more room, more footage, square space. That's all I could think he was thinking, and I'm almost giggling. I'm like, this movie just went from creepy and horrible to just laughably just ridiculous as I watched this guy. And it was the thing is, it was entertaining as all get out. It was jarring, but it was entertaining as all get out to watch Justin Long and be like, ha! I got the tape measure. I got the tape measure. And he goes down there when there's another secret passage. And you're the viewing audience thinking, oh my goodness, that thing is down there and he's going to walk into it. No, he's walking backwards with the light on, and he's like counting off the foot and everything. And I think that is when he stumbles upon the feeding room with the tutorial video that plays in a constant loop. Oh man, it was just the more I think about it after the fact, it's like it really was interesting. It's an interesting take on that kind of a person, that kind of a guy who he's so carefree and self-centered that he's walking backward into this dungeon of horror, you know. And then what happens? I can't remember. He stumbles upon, it's like the creature comes up on him and grabs him, and he ends up underneath this grate. Like, did it let him fall? He's scared to death. He's screaming, oh, what in the world's going on? And then you realize, just like that, Tess is alive. And she's right there in front of him. And, yeah. Tessa's alive. So you're like relieved, right? But at the same time, you're like, how are they going to get out of that? Because they're in a hole in the dark underneath the passages that are patrolled by a naked appearing half-dead creature-looking person. And, yeah, those saggy inbred monster boobs were just too much. And it was interesting to me how Tess had, I guess she had already fed off the monster. That's all I could think was how she learned how she was. Like, don't upset her. Don't upset her. If she sees you're upset, she'll get upset, and that's really bad. And he's like, what is that thing, man? What is that thing? He's got his flashlight on, and I'm thinking, I would so turn that light off. But would you, though, David? If you were totally in the dark, because if he turns that light off down there in that hole underneath that grate in that dungeon, he will be in the dark. There will be nothing but darkness. This movie was just nuts. It was just nuts. I felt nothing, but I was so taken out of the movie, and yet I was looking at it when the monster hands the feeding bottle down toward him. I just thought to myself, what on earth is this? What is this? It was so odd to me that it took me out of the movie. That's how abrupt my mental was at that point. I'm like, okay, what in the world is this? You got the creepy ambient music going, and that's all good and everything, but it's like, what is that? What is that thing? And what does she want? And Tess, this whole time, is trying to tell him, listen, she just wants, don't you see, she just wants you to be her baby. She just wants to take care of you. Tess is trying to stay alive, and she's doing a good job of adapting to this nightmare, but at the same time, as I'm thinking about it after the fact, I'm actually more creeped out about it now, thinking about it, than I was watching the movie. Because ask yourself, if you were thrown into that situation, down a hole, don't know where you are, and there's some big, hideous, big, saggy, drooping, boobed, witch monster, inbred freak that's like 7 feet tall, looking at you and handing you a feeding bottle down through your, you know what, that's exactly what's going to be in my dreams tonight. Thank you so much, David. I've really done a number on myself here. Tonight, that's what my nightmare is going to be. At least I won't get too scared. I'll just be the image of some, I think she's pretty, the Gabrielle Tess character. Look, she just wants to be your baby, don't you see? Don't get upset as it wants to nurse you and hand you a baby bottle and have you suck off it a little bit. How would you think? How would you react, really? I'm more weirded out now than I was watching the movie. When I watched the movie, it was just so intensely strange that I thought, what in the world am I even watching? I see a really scared Justin Long for good reason, but it's like, dude, this monster might kill you the way it killed poor Skarsgård's character. And again, just to backtrack and talk about that one more time while I'm running my mouth here, Skarsgård did a good job in this movie. Again, I want to make sure I'm understood correctly, and I know I start to make a point, but then I veer off course every single time. But it's like what I tried to get out was this. The way that he delivered his lines and all that, it kept me guessing. I thought, watching it, I'm like, what in the world is this? What in the world is this? But it was all intended to get you up to that, not really a climactic moment because it's not the end of the film or anything, but when he died, basically, is when it ended for me, as far as, because it had to, because he was dead, my curiosity as to what is Keith's deal. Why does he seem a little bit unsure of almost everything he's saying and doing? Is he part of some sinister underground thing, literal underground in this case, thing to entrap Tess? Is he part of that? No. That was just his character. That's just the way he talked, and he did a great job. And so did Justin Long, and so did Gabrielle. These guys did a good job, and I got to hand it to Justin Long. He played a good scumbag in this movie, because that's what he ends up being in the end. Because as Tess sneaks away from AJ after the monster grabs him up because he absolutely would not cooperate. All she wanted to do was nurse him a little bit with the baby bottle. When he wouldn't take the bottle, he got the tit, literally. She dragged him out of there, took him down to the nursing room, and literally forced him to suck on her, and it just one of the worst things I've ever seen. But Tess got away, and that's when she tries to get the cops. Cops won't help. The homeless man says, "Don't go back in there. Don't you dare go back in there tonight, or she'll come for you." She comes out at night, and I'm just thinking to myself now, after the fact, are there really things like, well, not like this, but similar to this, where it's like, because it's just the world that you live in. Take that homeless man, for instance, that it's like he knows the cops don't much care about this neighborhood, and this is the way things have always been. The idea that maybe, again, maybe not this type of actual monster, but really real life monsters that exist, and people just kind of go along with it because there's some kind of underlying assumption that, well, it's just the way it is. But as I'm saying this out loud right now, isn't that the exact commentary that they're trying to make about real life? When you think about the Me Too stuff, it's like the Ricky Gervais thing. What did he get up there in the Golden Globes, and he said, this show, I forget the name of it, is all about surviving by pretending you don't see a thing. Just like working for Harvey Weinstein. And the audience, part of them erupt in laughter, but some of them are also like booing, like boo. Like, well, I don't know that they were booing, but it's like every time Ricky Gervais would do the Golden Globes and actually talk about stuff like that, like real stuff, everybody was like, don't look at me, don't look at me. So it's a neat thing that they did that in this movie. That homeless man was the guy was an interesting character. I'll get to him in a second. This movie, the more I think about it and the more I'm seeing these parallels, this movie was something else. It just really was. I'm afraid I'm holding this recorder too close to me. Okay, let's keep going here. Tessa goes back. She gets in her car. She's got her keys. She doesn't know what to do. She doesn't want to go back down into the dungeon thing because she's afraid of what will happen to her, but she knows she's got to try and help this guy who she saw down there. AJ in this case. AJ, meanwhile, goes down, and as I realize it now, all of his discovering the details of the guy, in this case, Frank's collection of VHS tapes, thank goodness they didn't show anything, but it basically his rape room activities with these dozens of women or whatever that he had brought in there and made his inbred spawn with as sex slaves or whatever. That's one thing the movie didn't really show. It's like, where are they now? Because surely he murdered these people. Or did he? You have to assume that he did. Okay, it's like, where are the bones? Where's the pile of corpses or whatever? It didn't really show that. Interesting. Anyways. How did he get away? I'm trying to remember now. Oh, yeah. He manages to get... I can't recall how AJ initially got away from the creature, because he's got his camera on. I mean his flashlight and his phone, and he finds a new door in the underground passage where all of a sudden he's looking down the hallway of the passage, and you can see the creature all standing all menacing and horrible and nightmarish. but it's all hesitant. It was going to come toward him, but then it kind of shies away, and you realize later that it's because Daddy is in there. And before this, the homeless man had warned Tess outside the house earlier, that creature, she's not even the worst thing in there, and don't you dare go back in there. I'm like, oh my goodness, what else, what is worse than this creature? And you find out it's Frank, it's Daddy, that guy that you saw going shopping for all these baby supplies. There's no indication as to why he became so sick in his head as to do this. It being a horror movie, you just have to suspend belief to an extent and just say, okay, in order to have the kindling of a movie here, to get things going, somebody just had to go evil. And in this case, it was Frank, for reasons not totally understood. It's just understood the end result. He's evil as all get out. I mean, completely, just freakishly despicable, wicked. And you have to assume that he killed all these women who he brought in there. And it's like, what in the world? If that many people, because it's like there's like a couple dozen of these tapes. It's like, what you're asking questions like, what in the world's going on? And there's innocent-faced Justin Long, even though he's not so innocent in this movie, stopping the tape because he can't take it anymore. He looks over at the guy who was trying to help when he discovers the guy in there, and he's like, listen, man, I want to help you. I'm gonna call the cops. I'm gonna get help. I'm going to escape, I'm going to get help, and there's going to be cops swarming this place, and we're going to be all right. But then he's like, what's wrong with you, man? What's wrong with you? And as I'm thinking about it now, again, after the fact realization, it's like, that's the kind of person he was becoming, except that in this scenario, he's forced to encounter someone who's, I guess, basically undergone the full transformation. You know, evil always finds its true form. And so then he's coming over to the bed where Frank is all emaciated and like half dead from living in there all these years, and he must be 80, 90 years. I don't know how old Frank is supposed to be at that point, because he was a mature fellow back in the, what year was that? It looked like it was the 80s, sometime in the 80s. So yeah, add 40 years to that, and yeah, he's a goner. He's old age time, lying in this bed, and it was such a nightmare, underground, in these tunnels, claustrophobic atmosphere. And he's like, dude, what is wrong with you? How could you do that? What is wrong with you? And I tell you what, the one thing in this movie that I knew what was about to happen was this. The one thing that I absolutely knew was going to happen. When stupid AJ was trying to give him everything that the guy, because Frank, evil old Frank, can't really talk anymore. He's like, motioning for him to bring stuff over to him. It kind of exasperated. AJ says, look, I can't understand I don't know what you want, man. I want to help you. But it's like, he picks up the whole chest of drawers, this whole little table thing that has a drawer in it, and set it right next to Frank. And as soon as Frank, when Justin Long's character, AJ, starts looking around the place, because he's stumbled into this room, he's escaped the creature, but now he's in here with the hive mind evilness that was responsible for this nightmare, and he's looking at how horrible all this stuff is, and all these tapes, and it's dark in there, dimly lit. Frank starts reaching into that drawer slowly with his decrepit, almost dead self, and I'm thinking to myself, there's a gun in there. Frank's going for a gun, AJ. I just knew it. And sure enough, eventually he pulls out a revolver when AJ's gone from saying he's going to call the cops so they'll rescue him to saying, I'm gonna call the cops. It's like, they'll save me from you. And it's like, then he's got a gun pointed. Oh, hey man, don't. But I kind of half expected this myself, but not as much as him just having the gun. I'm like, there's a gun in there. He's reaching in there for a gun. That's what's about to happen. I kind of expected this, but not as strongly. He points the gun at himself, and AJ's like, no, man, don't do it. And he shoots himself in the head. And then AJ's got the gun from him, so at least he's armed now. And he goes through the passages. By now, Tessa has worked up the nerve, courageous young woman that she is. She couldn't leave the guy there without trying to help him. She just couldn't. Like, she's just too decent of a person. She sees in the distance, and I'm thinking, I know what that is. That's got to be AJ's phone. That's a neat little effect. I mean, it looks like a very dim light in the distance. And you hear a gunshot, and Tess goes down. And I'm thinking, I just knew this was about to happen. I just knew it. I knew it. Because I just knew it. I just knew it was going to happen. So then, Justin Long's character, AJ's freaking out. Oh, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to do that. He helps get her up, helps get her out. And I'm thinking to myself, movie, Tess has been a decent character here in this horror movie. If she dies, I will never forgive you, movie. You will really be a barbarian if you let Tess die, movie. And so he gets her outside, like, I'm so sorry, I didn't mean for this to happen. And she's like, it was an accident. It was. She's saying it was an accident. I know you didn't mean to do that. And something that I think the movie kind of gets away with, the way I'm thinking about it now, is this. I think she's extrapolating her character, not that Tess. Well, I think Tess is treating AJ like she would have treated Keith, because she doesn't know AJ at all, barely knew Keith. She only saw him drop down that hole, and then when the monster took him out, she snuck away quietly. And the monster, I think, eventually heard her leave, but it was too late. But the way she's giving him the benefit of the doubt of how, I know you didn't mean to shoot me and all this stuff, and she realizes that the monster was gone. I forgot to mention that part, how the monster had come out of the house, out of the door, because it's nighttime now when Tess had gotten into the car, and it's fully nighttime. The monster came out. Tess rammed the monster into the house, and she thought she was dead. And this neat little thing first happens here, where the music goes kind of sad as Tess is looking at the creature, and she understood it from earlier, how it just wants to, don't upset it. It wants to take care of babies. It wants to comfort you. It wants to treat you like you're its baby. She understood that about it. As she watched the creature, what she thought had died, there was like this sad moment, and I thought to myself, really, movie? Are we really trying to achieve that? And the thing is, they did, and I'll get to that in a minute as the film ended, because they're walking along. They got no keys, because the keys are down in the dungeon tunnels, and they ain't going back down there. He's got to get her to a hospital. Tess is shot. I'm thinking it's a gut wound. She's gonna die soon. I'm like, movie, you stink. I like this Tess character. Anyways, the homeless man scares them and me as they're walking down the street, and the fence, he opens up the fence for them, like, come on in here. And then they're sitting around a fire. I kid you not. Justin Long looks like he might have a panic attack, wide-eyed, as he talks about how I didn't mean to do that. She's like, it was an accident. I know you didn't mean to shoot me. It's like, I just do things. And this was the last hurrah for Justin Long's character, because as he's talking out loud, and you want, at least I did, still, so much,
offer a guy the benefit of the doubt. Is he showing some remorse? Not that he's not a rapist, because it's very apparent that he is. And if he is that, he really needs to be shot and executed. It's just, can the soul be saved? He's like looking into the fire, like doing his soul searching. He's like, am I a bad person? Or am I a good person who makes mistakes, who messed up? And you're trying to root for him, at least I was, just a little bit. It's like, maybe at least this man's soul, the soul of his character can be saved, and he's not a malicious, wicked person. He's just someone who let himself do a wicked thing because he doesn't care, out of his own lusts. He wanted to have things his way, and it don't work out that way. At least not forever. Just like the Weinstein thing, it eventually catches up with you. And so it's just another neat little scene. And he's like, look, I gotta get her help, man. I gotta get her help. It's my fault. It's like, listen, the homeless guy was good. So good. He's calming and reassuring. He's, look, she's gonna make it through the night, and then we'll talk about how you go get help. I really like the homeless guy, the actor's performance. It's just, I was not expecting this ending. This was nuts. I'm sure if you watch a lot of these movies, you're probably listening to me thinking, dude, this is pretty boilerplate. I mean, this is pretty par for the course. This is nothing new here. I've seen this 100 times. Well, I haven't. As I'm watching this movie and I see this man like trying to reassure them and tell them, look, yeah, she comes out, but... And then Tessa's like, how do you know she won't come in here, the monster? Look, this is it. This is the Samuel L. Jackson moment where he gets eaten by a shark from behind. This homeless man literally says, look, I've been here for 15 years, and she's never come in, this mother, ever. And at that moment, the beast, monster, inbred beast, crashes through behind him, grabs a hold of him screaming, and literally squeezes him and breaks his arm off, like literally like wrenching him, pulling his arm until it rips off, and then beats him with it to death. And I'm thinking, this movie isn't real. This isn't. And yet again, what's his face? Oh, AJ. He runs off, and you're thinking, wait for her, man. You were helping her through the street, Tessa, a minute ago, and now you're going to make her run by herself while she's got a gut wound, bullet wound in her? And you're thinking to yourself, well, what's going on here? Long story short, he tries to climb up a water tower to get away from the monster. Tessa's behind him, but falling behind because she's got an agonizing bullet wound that he put there by accident. And this goofy nut, she's like, oh wait, the gun, you can use the gun. He's like, oh yeah, he forgot he had the gun on him. And it's got to have, if it was originally loaded, it's got to have like 4 bullets in it, for crying out loud. He is such a klutzy freak, and he's fumbling and bumbling and so nervous, the way he was with the knife earlier when he says, like, you think you're gonna mess with me? I'm a man. I will F you up. When he was talking to himself and working up his courage to go down into the tunnels where he heard a distinct noise down there, he drops the gun off the water tower, and literally her face, Tessa's face, when he does that, Tessa with a bullet in her belly, her eyes bugging out, her facial expression at that point spoke for everybody who ever watches this movie. Is like, you stupid moron, idiot. You want us to be killed by this monster? And I kid you not, his whole dialogue at the end is she finally joins him up there on the top. And the monster is coming up to the top after them. It's like, he's like, we can't make it. We can't get away. It's going to get us. And then he's rationalizing and he's talking to himself. He's trying to be all logical and tries, like, how can he look out for number one? How can he still survive and make sure he lives, whatever happens to anybody else? And it's brilliant. I got to admit it. I got to admit that it's brilliant. considering the other commentary about certain social and recent things that have gone on in the world, there's a touch of brilliance to this, as he says, I can get away. I can get away, but only if you slow him down. He pushes Tess off the water tower and calls out to the monster, there, save your baby. And as Tess is falling, I'm thinking, movie, I hate you so much. I hate you so much. Tess is going to go splat on the road. And again, this is a water tower. This is high up, man. Onto the street. And the monster chases after her, like dives off of the water tower. And it's such an interesting thing. If they're still trying to make analogies the way they have throughout this movie, you explain this one to me, because I'm at a loss. I dare not try and figure this one out. AJ goes down to the street. He picks up the gun. He's walking over. And you realize that Tess is on top, lying face up, on top of the monster. The monster broke her fall. The inbred monster. And I'm thinking, okay, she's not dead, she's alive. And as she kind of comes to, and AJ realizes that she's not dead, I almost want to give him a little bit of credit, even though he doesn't deserve it. He's just such a freak. I was surprised at that point that AJ didn't shoot her to eliminate any witnesses to what he had done. He's still trying to. You see how he is? He didn't want to kill her, but he had to, and he didn't have time to think, and so he was willing to see her dead, and he's literally saying this kind of thing to her as he's trying to get her up, and Tess is dying from the bullet that he shot her with earlier by accident. We have to believe it was an accident, the way the movie is telling us, but he's like saying, oh, I'm so glad you're all right. Listen, I'm sorry. I didn't have a choice. There was no other way. I had to do that. And right then, he's in mid-dialogue, when the monster comes to and is attacking him, and it doesn't show it, but you see the part where he's screaming, and then the monster picks him up by his head and puts his thumbs through the eyes, and there's pus leaping out, and you don't see it from the front, but from behind you can tell that the monster crushed his skull. And I'm thinking to myself, this is so horrible. This is so horrible, and it's over. AJ is done. He's dead. He died a coward and an evil guy who just does not care. That was the end of him. And now here's Tess. What's the monster going to do? Is the monster really going to drag her back down the street, into the house, down to the tunnels, down to the feeding room, and nurse her until she's an old woman? How does this end? But wait, let me tell you this first. Before the monster came to, when you realize the monster's alive and it attacked AJ, you know what I thought? I thought that as he was trying to help revive Tess, as she was kind of coming to, and and he was forcing her to lean up as he's trying to get her to her feet and talking to her, I thought to myself, she's got his gun and she's going to shoot him. She's going to kill AJ for what he just did. But that's not what happened. The monster killed AJ, and then Tess kills the monster with the gun. But not before this scene that I alluded to a moment ago, where it's like the monster tried 2 or 3 times to get her up, and each time Tess is like, in pain, like crying. And because of this maternal, freak show maternal, but still this maternal thing where the inbred monster creature could intuit the pain that her baby, as she thought of Tess as being, was, and how she couldn't move her. And each time Tess did that, like telling her, I can't go back, I won't go back, I can't get up, I'm hurting, without actually saying it, but like a baby, a little infant child, the quote-unquote mother would understand.
And there's this little thing that happens where the monster is like telling her, shh, mama, mama. I can't make the noises. I'm not going to try to make the sounds that this creature made, but it's like, she's like telling her like don't cry, and like putting a finger over her lip, like telling her shh, and like kissing her, like blowing her kisses. And it's actually a neat moment, and they actually pulled off in this movie, in my opinion. I'm just saying, this is what I thought, this is what I felt as I watched it. They pulled off the sympathy note at the very end, where I don't know if Tess had a tear or two shooting out of her face, or almost, or what, or on the verge of it, or what. But I'm thinking to myself, it was like almost a complete emotional thing. She's got the gun. She puts it up to the creature's head, and the creature didn't respond, didn't see it as a weapon or anything. It's like it was accepting of whatever her baby was going to do at that point or something. Odd. Maybe I'm misinterpreting that. I think that's what I saw. But it's like that's what happened. And it's like there's this moment of sadness, I think, from Tess right before she has to shoot the monster and kill it. And that's how the movie ends. You're left with the impression that Tess lived, which is good. But yeah, this movie definitely has some worth. The more that if for no other reason than the commentary that I've talked about that it makes about Weinstein, Me Too, sexual predators, and the like, and the whole scene of upper echelon people getting away with despicable stuff, and just that whole thing basically. But it also was kind of neat as a horror movie too. Again, I say that as somebody who's watched very few horror movies, and will keep it that way for the most part. So Tess lived, and I like that part. But what I didn't like was the way they start up with the classic music. Smile, the first Smile movie, with that lollipop, lollipop, da 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 da, lollipop at the end of that movie. I didn't like that. I don't like it when they use the classic stuff that is from a time of more innocence and so forth, and actual notions of an innocent or pure love songs at the end of these movies. I know why they do it. I'm just saying I disagree. I think it's a bridge too far, because this movie started up with Be My Baby, and I happened to have rediscovered that song a few days ago, the way I rediscovered, at the same time I rediscovered the song Stand By Me. Yeah. And Jurassic Park had to go and play that in the scene at the end, and they didn't like that either. Jurassic Park Rebirth. But yeah, they did that at the end of this movie, and I'm thinking to myself, you know what, I know this is horror, and there is an inversion that takes place where they really try and jar you, but I'm like, I would be fine with it if they did like a modern version of the song for this movie, but to actually play the original music by the original artists of those classic songs from the 50s, 60s, 70s, I do not approve. I do not approve. But that went off, and then the ambient synthwave stuff started up, and you got this red letters for the text of the credits, and I thought, man, these are your horror movie vibes right here. I could just imagine myself being in a theater and watching all that go up, those red letters and that horror movie synthwave beat. I'm like, man, this quite a movie. Anyway, it's like homework going into Weapons. If Weapons is as decent as far as overall quality of a movie watching experience as this one was, it'll be worth it. I'll go check it out within the next couple of weeks. Weapons is making a lot of money, if I understand things correctly. But anyways, there's a lot more stuff I guess I could say about Barbarian, but I think I'm all talked out. So let me just say thank you so much, folks, for anybody who might have listened to all my talking about this crazy movie. And I'm going to call that good. Till next time.
Take care.